All right, guys. I've been chosen for this program, the CIA program. Okay, I've gone through all these levels. I'm now on level 5. It's not a good program. It's satanic bloodlines that made this up. Okay, they started this. What they do is they grab a non-bloodliner, which is a human being, and remember, the human beings are God's image. Okay, that is God's creation. I mean, but their bloodline is not of God. They're the fallen's bloodline, the serpent bloodline. So this is the program they did. I gone through level 1, which is programming of control personality, and my brothers are part of that bloodline and trained me through this. Their personalities they're very bipolar and split. Okay, they have their bloodline go through it too, but it's much different on our bloodline, the human beings, because we're under the protection of God. We're basically untouchable while still in God's grace. So this is why this comes in as no touch torture. The people they set you up with, the verbal abuse, the isolation, it's all no touch, but it's targeted at your brain. It splits your mind in half, allowing for a programmed union of L and R through neuron pathway stimulation. All right, I'm gonna skip. Okay, this is a main one too. The second level is, I believe, when you're 15 years old. I'm now 18 years old. It's referred to as sexual programming. This programming eliminates all learned moral convictions and stimulates the primitive sexual instincts. Devoid of inhibitions, cat alters may come out of this level. What's a big part of this is verbal abuse. Excuse me. They say a lot of the opposite sex genitals. Okay, since I'm a male, they'll say a lot of male genitals around me. But they'll set you up. Since you're chosen, it's a CIA program. It's highly funded, so they have the money to set you up around all the family and people at school, whatever. And it doesn't take that much, especially since I was at a very, very small continuation school. And I got out of high school around, I think it was, I forgot what grade it was, but everyone I was set up with was set up on purpose. And I'll explain to you right now. And then this one is known as killer programming. This is level 3. I was 16 years old when I gone through this. Okay, this is originally developed for training special agents or elite soldiers. Delta Force, First Earth Battalion, Mossad, and covert operations. Optimal adrenal output and controlled aggression is evident. Okay, subjects are devoid of fear, very systematic in carrying out their assessment. Self-destruct or suicidal instructions are layered in at this level. Okay, at this level, I was 16.
And James Holmes, 100%. 100% is an MK Ultra guy. And furthermore, he looks like an MK Ultra patsy, not an MK Ultra shooter. And the reason I say that, okay, first of all, he has super dilated pupils in the video in the courtroom. He's got his head kind of bobbing a little bit, and he looks really confused, and he can't even say his name. He's so blasted on scopolamine, they have to say his name for him. And I mean, it's quite obvious that this guy was an MK Ultra patsy. There was a second gas mask found in that theater. There was another report of another guy there.
What they do is they isolate you, and this is where my parents come in. They're part of this bloodline, part of this program. They're supposed to be truck drivers. I mean, they are truck drivers, so they are never ever home. And when they're home, the most they're there for is a couple of days or a week the most. But what they did is I was alone, and I'd have these really big blades. Okay, I was acting just like an assassin. 24/7. All I do is my parents come home, since they're truck drivers, they leave me about $150, and as soon as they leave, all of that $150 will go to weed, just marijuana, and I'd be alone 24/7. And these guys that they're paying, I didn't know they were paying until now, were acting like they're gonna rob us. Well, me, because I was the only one home, and they would go there just nonstop 24/7. This is how it started. He hopped the gate, and I was smoking. And then he approached me, and he looked right at my bat, and I grabbed my bat, and it was a Mexican guy, and I was about to hit him. I was about to hit him in the face because he looked at the bat, and he acted like he was gonna rob me. That's where it all started. That's when I barely turned 16, I think. So that was my third level, or was I 15? No, I was 16. Okay, that was my third level. All right, from there it all started. My parents still kept leaving me alone, and I'd stay up 24/7, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., and you'd name it, man. I was acting like an assassin. I had these 2 big pellet guns and these 2 big blades, and they'd bang on the wall. As soon as they bang on the wall, I jump out there just nonstop. It was crazy. Just I didn't realize my ways until now. Like I was acting like a full-on assassin. I was putting the big couches on the doors so they won't break in. I was sleeping by the window, with the crack open. I'd put stuff in the window so they wouldn't be able to break it open. That's how alone I was. I was getting away with all that. I'd completely rearrange the house because I thought they're gonna break in, and that's how alone I was. That's my parents' house. I still live with my parents, but that's how isolated I still am. I was acting like a full-on assassin. That's part of the programming. And now the fourth one was 2015. Okay, that was 2015. Now this is considered to be psychic programming. Bloodliners, those coming from the multi-generational satanic families, were determined to exhibit a greater propensity of having telepathic abilities than did non-bloodliners. Okay, the satanic bloodline has psychic telepathic abilities, and I don't. I told you I'm not part of that serpent bloodline. I am a human being. Okay, so I'm not psychic like that. I'm in God's image. I'm a part of that DNA, but they're part of that serpent bloodline. Okay, this is part of the no-touch torture, and that's where the psychic abilities come in, and that's where this level kicks in too. Level 2, the sexual verbal abuse. Okay, all that verbal abuse stood in my head. It's programming, and then what happens is I would repeat it on this level. I would repeat all the male genitals, all the nasty stuff they kept saying my brothers, all my friends, which are not my friends, and no, they're not really my brothers. It's part of my programming. All of that will be repeated in my head, and every time I'd say it, they'd act on it. They started laughing, and they start saying what? And if I look at them and ask them did they hear it, they deny it. They completely deny it. When they deny it, they believe in never compromise. That causes crazy confusion, and it splits your mind. It makes an altar. So when you repeat it in your head, it's very weird. You know they're listening to you. They listen to you 24/7. They monitor your thoughts. And now that I'm at this new house, they have the fireworks and the airplanes. Okay, now every time when I repeat my verbal sexual programming in my head, they pop the fireworks. And the fireworks, well, I'm about to play it in right now. You should see it, but. The fireworks go on nonstop, okay? They used to start at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. And every time I say one of their verbal abuses in my head, they pop it. That's a thought monitor, and it creates an altar. And they do it all the way, like just a couple weeks ago. I was using the restroom, and it was 12 a.m., okay? It was midnight. I went in the restroom, and I said something weird in my head, and boom, they popped 3 loud fireworks. As soon as I said it, 3 loud fireworks. That's part of the programming, the alter ego. Okay, and I'm gonna show you the fireworks right now. These fireworks continue. They used to start them at 6 a.m., but now they do them at 9 a.m. I don't know why, but now it ends at, well, whenever they want it to end, really. But it's 24/7. If I go to the mountains, which is the only place I go, if I try to go to the store or something, they use them. They clap their hands or they pop their fireworks on my thoughts. All right, that's where the verbal abuse comes in, and that's part of the reason. That's the main reason why I dropped out of school. Really, is because they this is what they say every time I think it. They'll say, "So it's all you think of is sex." And then he says, "How do you think like that? Who even thinks like that?" They'll just do it nonstop. They'll say faggot, a lot of verbal abuse, just nonstop, just over and over on your thoughts. Right? That's level 4, and I am on this level 5. Part of the programming. This is a self-destruct form of programming, also known as code green. Part of my self-destruction programming. See, because the fireworks, they keep going in at my thoughts, so I get crazy, and I hit this, and I did something to this wire. Hit this shit hard. Came over here. Did this. See, right now they would be popping them since I'm not recording. They don't do it, but this is nothing. At the other house, it was non-stop holes in the walls. All right, that's part of the self-destruction programming. The corresponding behaviors include suicidal tendencies and or self-mutilation. I used to cut myself a lot, and I was thinking about killing myself because I don't know what I'm in. These guys are this whole neighborhood that they put you in and everything. That they're all part of the program. Okay, they'd come and they pretend like they're gonna kick my ass, and I remember I'm isolated. I'm alone nonstop, so they only do this when I'm alone. They they yell out shit like "fuck you, bitch, I hate you," or "come out here and get fucked up," and it'll be late, and then they have a street theater. A lot of them just stack up in the front, yelling out shit that's in my head. Every time I think of something, yell it out and tell me to shut up, and I would sit there, cry, try to control my thoughts. All right, that's part of it, and that's when I'll think about, that's the suicidal tendencies. I was thinking about killing myself. I thought basically it messes you up psychologically. It really does. This is why I don't go anywhere still, and I'm still isolated. It's been I think 4 years now, and I still don't go anywhere. I dropped out of school. I tried going back, but I dropped out again because they bugged the shit out of me. All right, now Gamma is another form of protectionist through deception programming, which elicits misinformation and misdirection. This level is intertwined with demonology and tends to regenerate itself at a later time, if inappropriately deactivated. All right, I'm going through that too. It's not just that level. Well, they do a lot of demonic shit. Like it's very spiritual too, because when I moved here, yeah, it was 12 a.m. I was high. I think it was the night of New Year's Eve. Well, it was New Year's Day basically. It was 12 a.m. I got high and I swear to God, I was being spiritually raped. Okay, I smoked weed and I couldn't move, and I laid on my stomach and I was scared as fuck because I was high, and they kept yelling in my window. My neighbors, they threw fireworks and they started yelling out. So that's all you do is argue and play video games. And then they said they're acting really demonic. They said, "Ha ha ha! So you thought you could run from us? We are everywhere." And then another time where it got really demonic when I was smoking is a couple months ago. I went with my friends. Well, they're not my friends, but we went to this park to go smoke weed. And I go after we got done smoking 2 blunts. We went in my car, and now we're just sitting in there. And once they hit, they were just watching, laughing at my thoughts a lot. So once I got high, once it hit, he put out a big knife. My friend Aaron, which is not my friend, but put out a big knife and said exactly this. He said, "All right, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up." He said, "Don't make a fucking sound," with the knife to my stomach, and then I was basically scared, and he said, "Fuck, I'm just gonna stab him." And my other friend in the back, he said, "No, don't stab him." Okay, and while he had the knife to my stomach, my dad called on the phone. And remember, my parents are part of this program. I answered the phone, and my dad started laughing and said, he started laughing and said, "Ha ha ha, there's no delusions." And he was just laughing, like very evil. And he said, "See, everything's normal. There's no delusions." And then I just hung up on him. It's fucking, it's crazy. I was scared as shit. That was actually my dad. He really said that. And then I looked to my left, and there was a guy dressed exactly like me. The Adidas, the pants, the t-shirt, the face, the haircut, everything was just like me, all right? And then Aaron said, "Look, the one with the knife to my stomach, the one who was holding the knife to my stomach," said, "Look at him. It's just like a game, huh, Churro? He looks just like you. It's like a game, huh?" And then I was scared as fuck. So then it sounds stupid, but the beat was on. We're getting high, so there's music on, and I started rapping. All right, it sounds fucking dumb, but I started rapping, and then he started nodding his head. He put the knife away and said, "All right, good, that's perfect." Now remember, a lot of the celebrities and shit, a lot of them are MK Ultra victims. If you go watch my other video, you'll see that they gone through the same psychic process. Well, this is the no-touch torture. All right, now the 7th level is what I'm not on this level. It says, "This forming of programming is yet undocumented for public consumption. It is my belief that HARP is a tool for mass mid-control to be implemented at the first sign of unrest or revolution." All right. Now, what that does, that's basically saying is that well, what the government would do is raise everyone's vibrational frequencies, I was watching these videos, and it says that what the government has done, along with a lot of other satanic bloodlines, is they set up all around the world which is also comes from phones and cellular towers. It's a bunch of vibrational frequencies that makes our frequencies very low. So basically, we can't activate what we really are, and what we really are is basically like benevolent ones, like basically we have healing powers, like these bodies are not our own, like basically we have powers and shit. Yeah, that's what it means. And if you watch the movie They Live, That's what this says. You notice that he takes out the big satellite, and once he takes out the big satellite, you see that well, a lot of the world leaders and a lot of the people that are all around the world are not human at all, and that's basically a depiction of reptilians and reptilians hosting people.
Give a press conference and how to buy a sailboat as prime news.
Like shit. I'm on it.
What's wrong?
All the sex and violence on the screen has gone too far for me. I'm fed up with it. Filmmakers like George Romero and John Carpenter have to show some restraint. They're simply...
You're filled with lightning when you hit the road. You're feeling that V6 power as you take control. Nothing can stop you now. You're moving on.
Hey, what's wrong, baby?
Projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite. The underground terrorist network has been destroyed here on the West Coast. We are off crisis alert. The situation is normal again.
If you're familiar with the work of Santo Bonacci, where he talks about the three trusts that the Vatican created, where they not only own the earth, but they own us and they own our souls. That's a real problem for me. And it should be for everybody, because it's nothing more than a government. And then there's those who work in the black projects where they don't interact with humanity anymore. They essentially just interact in the hive mentality with the regressive ETs. They're on a completely different reality as well. And there's multiple layers here. This has all been done to divide us, to separate us from each other. Humanity has a soul. Just as Earth has a soul. They're doing everything they can to separate us into pieces, because by doing that, it weakens us. Because collectively as a soul, we are an incredible force, a dominant force. And I don't mean this in the sense of I don't mean this in a military sense where we can just bulldoze and do whatever we want. I don't mean it like that.
Now, when you talk, Robert, about the Luciferian agenda,
yep.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
I think we could also call it the Archon agenda, because Lucifer is the Lord of the Archons.
Mm-hmm.
He is the king of this world and the underworld. He illegitimately took over this world from his family. They're from Orion.
He hijacked it.
He illegitimately, apparently I refer back to Wes Henry's papers, he says that Lucifer, or Enki, as the Sumerians might have called him, was supposed to ascend to the kingship of the Orion Empire. He was passed over because he was acting, well, not in accordance with their laws and their ways. He'd become a rebel. Remember, he's the original.
That's right.
All right, agitator, rebel, whatever you want to call it. And so his younger brother, Enlil, is the one who was instead became king. And so most people point to that as the cause for him starting a civil war, much like we're seeing here, in America right now again.
Right.
Okay, but I think we have to go back a little further to what I had reported back in 2011 with you, is that there are these mental parasites. And my understanding is that they hitched a ride. Lucifer was, or Enki, or whatever you want to call him, he's got many different names because he's essentially an immortal being, a god. He was there with the original team that went in to a forbidden zone. I believe it was a portal out of this universe or to some place that was the home for these parasites. And he became infected, his crew, his team became infected, and when they came back, they had gone mad.
A traveler from distant stars escaped from a dying world looking for a way to extend his own life. His body decaying and weak, he couldn't prevent his own demise. Apparently his whole species was becoming extinct. So he traveled or searched the galaxies looking for a way to cheat death.
For my world to live, yours must die.
And look here, he came to a world rich with life, where he encountered a primitive race, humans. A species which, with all his powers and knowledge, he could maintain indefinitely. He realized within a human body he had a chance for a new life. Now, he apparently found a young boy. It says, as the frightened villagers ran, night became day. Curious and without fear, he walked towards the light. Ra took him and possessed his body like some kind of a parasite looking for a host. And inhabiting this human form, he appointed himself ruler.
When you opened the box, you released the evils to the gods. Infected them. Changed them. Zeus himself fell prey to the dark evils. This is why he became so enraged and obsessed with your death. He was consumed by the evil fear.
And they started attacking their own kind and destroying entire worlds and solar systems, which is what he did when he started the Civil War. This planet, our solar system, used to be part of the Orion Empire. This planet was actually a little larger. It was just beyond Mars. It was called Tiamat or Gaia. And when he attacked, he allied himself with his father's side of the dynasty, which is from Sirius. Even though they had a peace treaty between the Sirius group and the Orions, that peace treaty didn't hold once Lucifer, who was the heir to the throne, he became the ultimate rebel, turned around and attacked his own empire to create an empire of his own. And that is his agenda. And when he attacked his solar system, he wrecked this planet. He actually tore pieces of it off. They blew off pieces of it, and which is now the asteroid belt. Now, I know a lot of people have their preconceived notions about what Van Flanders said and Sitchin said and all this stuff.
Right.
I know this is going to sound contrary to a lot of people, so I would urge you to just listen to this and see if it makes any sense. It does to me. That this planet originally was a garden paradise. The life here was an experiment. It was symbiotic. It was androgynous. And Lucifer, Enki, whatever, came in here and literally took over by force, illegitimately claimed it as part of his empire.
It kind of echoes the Genesis, Robert, doesn't it?
I know, but okay, so here's the whole thing about all that. Again, if you take the time, the more time you spend, especially on level 4 of the West Penry papers, what you'll see is he's laid it out very carefully, that all the history that we have was written by the victors of the war 500,000 years ago. They did not want us, their slaves, to understand how we came into being and why we're basically trapped here. What used to be a paradise planet, a garden, was turned into a prison planet that has been grooming the grooming grounds of slaves.
That's amazing work. It really is. And now, but when you brought up Sitchin,
yes,
who sounds somewhat a little like what you've just said.
Yes.
So, are you saying you agree with Sitchin?
You'd ask
some
me this
some
before.
don't.
It's not that. You asked me about that at one of the other conversations we had, and I said he didn't go far enough, and I was right. He did not go far enough. Either he didn't know, or he didn't want to say, or he couldn't say. Because a lot of people have asked him, well, where did these Anunnaki go? Are they still here? Are they coming back?
Exactly.
Okay, and this is the urgency why I appreciate you having me back on, because I just have to explain something to people, and I know it's going to sound shocking, but these gods are going to return. They've never really left. They left some of their elite in charge, or I should say, they created a layer of servants.
Their offspring in charge.
Well, sort of. I mean, here's the thing about the Adapa is that it was a little bit of the Luciferian blood, the Orion. It was and mixed with some of the androgynous genes or DNA that was developing here on this, the garden planet. And then he mixed in some of the literally apes, as well as reptilians. So the primitive worker race that he genetically engineered, he didn't create, he genetically manipulated a servants, a slave race for him. And then he created another layer of what they call the Adama, where that was the king's, the royal bloodline. It has more of his blood. They have more of his blood. They're the ones, the caretakers or the overseers, for when they
sure,
right, so that they do the bidding of the Anunnaki.
The army of the 12 monkeys, they're the ones that spread the virus.
Monkeys. He's been living in a meticulously constructed fantasy world, and that world is starting to disintegrate.
You haven't become addicted to that dying world?
No, sir.
He needs help.
You think I'm crazy when people start dying next month? I don't belong here. You're here because of the system. I know some things that you don't know.
Here's where it gets really wild. The DNA that we have still has coding in it of the original goddess, the queen. She definitely left some of her essence in the original DNA that was seeded here, which we have. And it was deactivated by the Luciferians, part of the Archon agenda, to make us slaves, keep us ignorant. Why? Is because, well, obviously, we're more subservient. But it has been gradually activated, or I should say reactivated, during what are called the quickening. That was between 87 and 2012. Wes Penray talks a lot about this. That's just the first phase. The next phase is going to be what some people call the superwave. And what that is just a frequency, a wave of energy that was going to wash over the planet, and it will activate everybody's dormant DNA. I'm not talking about strands here. I'm talking about the code that's in there. Because DNA is a fractal antenna, and it does connect us from the physical to the etheric, if you want to call it that. And why this is important is because no later than I alluded to this last time we spoke. I know now for sure. No later than 2022, the gods are going to stage a return to our world, and they will present themselves as a savior of mankind.
Marduk felt that was his sign. I'm now in charge. To make it simple, he took on the Christ role. The ages changed about 2,000, 2,100 years later. You call it the age of Christ. He once again wanted control over this age, and he is once again announcing the second return, because he's the one nailed to the cross. He's the one that controls the cross, and he does not want to allow any of his siblings, his cousins, any others to gain control.
Projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite. The underground terrorist network has been destroyed here on the West Coast. We are off crisis alert. The situation is normal again.
They're going to come out under the pretense of being here to save us.
Will they come in the form of UFOs and craft?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the UN is going to be part of it, as well as the Vatican.
It'll be all prearranged.
It's all prearranged. It's staged.
The Vatican, epicenter of the Roman Catholic faith. representing 1/6 of the planet's population. It is one of the world's oldest and most powerful institutions, either at the center of faith or controversy. Most recent and shocking that this holy order could be part of one of the biggest cover-ups in UFO history.
The church is getting ready to embrace life outside of planet Earth as part of creation.
According to UFO theorists, Vatican officials have possessed knowledge of alien life for centuries. A claim so explosive and world-changing that generations of popes and cardinals have categorically denied the accusations. But what if the claims are true?
It's believed even to this day that not everything has been revealed.
We will reveal what extraterrestrial secrets could lie behind the walls of this religious citadel, including shocking admissions by members of the church and possible proof of alien life that's allegedly been buried for centuries.
It's like, and the reason they're doing this is twofold. They have been grooming us to be part of their military force that's going to attack Orion again, the Orion Empire. But they also they know that this other component is coming, and this is a contingency plan. They do not want to lose a bunch of us slaves. They consider us their property. So they would consider it theft for the benevolent ones to come in here and try and liberate us openly. But they can't stop the wave. There's nothing that's going to nothing that's not going to stop it when it sweeps over the planet. And we don't know exactly when this is coming. We just know it's coming.
Is this going to be a full-scale war?
Well, it's been full-scale civil war for a long time. The Earth has been caught up in it. We're part of it. We're pawns. Most of us are just pawns for the Archon agenda.
Endless years I've watched from the underworld and saw your wrath tempered.
But here's what's really important about this conversation is we've only got about 7 years, maybe less, for people to get become aware of what's really going on.
Projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite. The underground terrorist network has been destroyed here on the West Coast. We are off crisis alert. The situation is normal again.
Because when the superwave sweeps over us and people spontaneously just wake up and they have cosmic consciousness and they can see, they're going to literally have recall of the original garden. And I don't mean the fairy tale that we've been told. The real thing is going to be tangible, okay, palpable. It's going to feel like they're, having a full-blown memory is going to come to them. They'll have a knowing, a gnosis, okay? And it's going to be, for a lot of people, it's because they've been lied to for so long, it's going to be, boy, you talk about bursting a bubble. It's going to be shattering. It will be very, very, they'll be conflicted.
Now, if you think that's something, take a look at this. Go on, take a closer look.
Attention commuters. Flight Alpha 7 to Andromeda is now ready for boarding. Please step to the transmission platform.
That's where they come from.
All carry-on luggage must be held securely. Thank you for waiting, and we hope you have a pleasant trip.
And here we got the brains of the whole operation. Master signal goes out from here to the satellite. We pump it out all over the world. Pretty fancy, huh? Not too familiar with them myself.
Hey, you got me down underground, getting holed up in my cyber lounge, as if I had time to break that down.
Cause baby, now we got bad blood.
Hey, I can't take it back, look where I'm at. We was OG like.
And keeping the humans, God's image, God's blood, God's DNA at a low vibrational frequency of slaves, where we're cattle, we're food, and we're just feeding them off of our frequencies. And the reason why we can't activate that high frequency is because of all the electronic devices everywhere, and the towers and everything. And supposedly, if you knock them all down, if you just quit them all, our vibrational frequencies will be raised, will be what we really are. Like this world is an illusion. All of it's an illusion. There's people that look like people. None of them are people. All of them are basically the reptilians. All right, they're nothing how they look, and that's what that movie's saying, and that's what this level is saying. Okay, that's MK Ultra. Now, if you look at this 7 levels, the ones that they target, which is my bloodline, human God's image bloodline, are the leaders. See, we're sent by God to make a difference, a good difference. And once you go through these levels, it psychologically traumatizes you to where you keep away from all the people you're trying to help, all your bloodline you're trying to save. And what it does is it splits your personality, and it makes you easily to control, to be one of their advocates. And if you go watch my MK Ultra videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. And instead of freeing our race that is enslaved, we help to enslave them more and extinct all of them. And that's part of the reason why I've been chosen, and why it's so highly funded, and why it's so focused on our brains is because we're the leaders. All right, we're sent with a good message to free our people, my people, humans. And this world is such an illusion. Nothing is as it seems. A lot of people are not people, like I said. They're being hosted by entities, demonic entities that are feeding off us. That here, I'll play a clip right now. They feed on us physically and spiritually, our souls.
They might tear your flesh, but they're feeding on your soul.